All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy New Week. Hope you're doing amazing. And welcome to another Live with Nat. And today with Dr. Anne Butcher. Where are you currently, Anne, in Australia?
I live in Mackay. Yeah.
Good morning,
everybody.
Sorry. Oh, there's a back. Hang on a
Dr.
second.
Anne
Butcher. We're having a double up because my Facebook. I had to shut down Safari. Otherwise, it kind of plays back there. But let's make sure that we are live here on my phone so I can pick up any comments and all that sort of stuff. Yes, we are. Perfect. Excellent. All righty. Good morning, Brenton. Brenton's watching. He's been following my quarantine diaries while I've been in hotel quarantine, and it is day 10 of hotel quarantine, you guys. But today we're talking about do more, be more, with Dr. Anne Butcher, who is the author of, let me show you her book. I'm sure she's got it there in her hand, but I'll show you a big version on the screen. I ruined my life. Also, they said, it's not what others think you are. So thank you so much for joining us, Anne. I'm really, really excited to talk to you this morning.
Thank you so much for having me and opportunity to talk about my book and what's going on for me.
Oh, beautiful. So I met you, I think it was about October 2019, and you were to come to a physical retreat, and you were actually part of the very first Aussie virtual retreat, because that's how things changed in May 2020, right?
Yeah, right, definitely.
Yeah. So let me introduce you properly to the guys that have joined in the call. And good morning to Tony and Luba. I can see you guys and I can read comments. Now I've worked out this awesome, and Kim, this awesome little trick where I can prop my phone here next to my laptop, and literally I can't see any comments on what we're doing here on Zoom, but I can see them scrolling up on my my phone here. All right, so let me give you Dr. Anne Butcher's official introduction. Well, Dr. Anne Butcher has overcome significant personal challenges in her early life, which should have set her life trajectory off on a downward spiral. Yet amazingly, she went on to defy the odds to achieve an outstanding academic and professional career in her chosen profession of social work. She's now a recognized leader in her field and has worn many leadership hats, from CEO and manager in government and non-for-profit organizations throughout her 30-year career. Most recently, she headed up the Mackay Women's and Domestic Violence Service, in which she spearheaded many successful pilots and obtained significant funding to advance the cause of the domestic violence and sexual assault counselling services and women's health and wellbeing programs. So outside her illustrious career and academic achievements, she has remained committed to supporting women and seeing them rise up to achieve their fullest potential. A published author and event speaker, today she is determined to use her wealth of experience and wisdom gained to inspire women of all ages to be the best they can be in life. Her biographical book, I Ruined My Life, also they said, tells the tale of a woman who chose not to give up and through dedication, hard work and self-belief achieved greatness she could never have dreamt possible. Her hope is that she can now support other women to become inspired and motivated to achieve their life goals and dreams and achieve more than they ever thought possible. That is amazing. And wow. So tell me a little bit about your background story. Yeah, tell us about maybe how long were you thinking about writing a book, and what prompted you, like, where did this passion for it come from?
Yeah, okay. Well, as you read out, like there's been a lot of things that have happened in my earlier life, which probably, probably meant I shouldn't have moved on to study and to, work through the career and the career and academic highlights that I have. So because family and friends who've known my life story knew about, where I came from and what I've been able to do in my life, they've said, you should really write a book about that, because that might be really helpful to others to see that you can actually, get ahead, and you don't need to let, things that happen earlier in your life really dictate what your life's going to be in the end. So I was really encouraged by close friends and family to write a book. So that kind of went around in my head for a long time, thinking, oh my goodness, who'd want to know about my life, and kind of having to get past that. So probably for about 15 years, I think, it kind of swirled around in my head until I saw your workshop being advertised.
Yep.
And I still had that idea in my head, and I thought I'll just go along and find out a bit more about, you know, writing a book about my life story. And that's kind of, that was the process really.
And your book's been out, what, about 7, 8 or months, or
Yep.
coming up to a year?
Yeah, coming up for a year in October. So in October last year was the official launch in
Yep.
Mackay.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's been out, and it's you know, I've sold hundreds of copies, which is wonderful. It was great to hit the #1 Amazon bestseller
Yeah.
label for the book
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as a result of the book, I've been invited to, you know, get to be a guest speaker at different events, particularly on International Women's Day, and at, you know, paid speaking events. So that's kind of
Wonderful.
been wonderful. Yeah.
I know, because one of the things you wanted to do is get more speaking and get out there, because you, if we can use the word, retired from your official, you know, career,
Yeah.
and you've wanted to transition to something that you're really passionate about, and that is helping other women. Yeah.
Definitely. So retired from my full-time, you know, daytime paid job, which I loved, but I'm really looking forward to doing whatever I can to help other women to sort of achieve their life dreams and goals. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's move on to talking about life goals. You talk about the importance of them, and you work with clients where you help them do this. So talk to me about, you know, how do you set your own life goals, and how do we, you know, ourselves, like what is your recipe for success, if you know what I mean?
Well, do you know, I've worked with so many women, and you know, you talk to them about life goals, and so for some of them it's just getting through it each day, you know, like, and they can't think beyond that. But what I try to encourage women, or people, and men as well, I've counseled men, but what I try to encourage them to do is to think about, if there were no barriers, if there were no constraints, if there were no, say, financial difficulties, if there was no one telling you you shouldn't do this or you can't do this, if there was no one stopping you from doing it, and you could just had free reign,
Yeah.
what is it you would love to do? Or is this, what would you love to do? What would you love to be? Is there a role? Is there something you'd love to do? And to try and tap into whatever that deep-seated wish, desire, dream, goal is. And once that's been identified, it's like, okay, so that's what you'd really love to do if there were no barriers. Now let's think about how can we help you achieve that, you know? So that's kind of the starting point. And, you know, it doesn't have to be a really big goal. It might just be, my goal is to, you know, to have a particular role, you know. It might be to get a particular job. It might be about studying or doing something like that, but it doesn't have to be. It might be about being the best mum I can be, or best dad I can be, and then looking at what are the parenting classes and skills that might be able to assist. So it's really broad. There's no one defines, you know, what other people's goals are. They do.
That's true. And can I ask this question though? A lot of the time I read lots of books and have been to a lot of seminars and have studied from a lot of mentors. And a lot of the time I have found that not many people know what they want. You know, sometimes, like, if you say, what do you want, or what do you want to get out of life, or your health, or whatever, they find it really hard to articulate. Do you find that with people?
Oh, definitely. And it's kind of like, people don't know what they don't know, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So they'll think, well, I don't really know what I want to do, because I don't really know what the options or the possibilities are.
Yes.
So the starting point is often to help them think about the options and possibilities. And it might be about taking them through a process of, like, so think about different parts of your life. Think about, if you're in your current job, do you love your current job? Are you really happy there? Or if you're a stay-at-home mum or dad, do you love that? And if you do, that's great.
Yep.
Or is it something else you'd really, so you sort of start where they're at in life, whatever it is they're doing, and ask them, do they love it? Is it what they always want to do? Have they found their passion already? Or is it something more? And if it is, what would that look like? And so it's incremental steps sometimes to help people reach the point of thinking, oh, if I could really think big picture, what would that be, you know?
Because often they don't allow themselves to think. Sometimes they think that's not, you know, maybe I'm wanting too much, or maybe it's being selfish.
Yes, and sometimes I think I'm not worthy, you know, like oh no, I couldn't do that, you know, like when really they've got the ability and they've got what they need. They just don't believe in themselves that they can do,
Yeah.
because it's what they've perhaps been told all their life, or what messages they've heard that they can't do that, they're not good enough, and so part of the working with a person is to help them to see that they do have the abilities and they are good enough and they are worthy enough, and sort of building confidence and self-esteem is a big part of the process of helping someone on that journey. Yeah.
What did you do for yourself? Because you have a real, like, zero to hero story, which is what your whole book is about.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you did to build your self-worth and, get to be the person you are and achieve all these amazing things that we kind of introduced you with?
Yeah. Look, I was really fortunate in my life. I had an amazing mother, and I think that helps to have at least one parent who's an amazing person. She's a very strong woman, and I think I got a lot of my strength and resilience from her. But it's in saying that, I still went through really difficult times in my childhood and my adolescence. And what got me through those times were really key people in my life. So apart from my mother, there's like a key teacher who was someone who was really encouraging. Um, when I people I met, people who encouraged me, who said, you should write a book, for example, or did you know about this particular course? If I had a conversation and said, oh, I always thought, I'd like to do some study, but I only went to grade year 10, and I didn't finish, year 12. And people say, oh, but do you know that you can go to university as a mature age student? And I said, no, I didn't know that. And so there was always someone who was able to point me in the right direction and say, oh, yes, well, you can, and this is the information, and here's a person to contact. And then I would follow up. And that was kind of the journey. I got to university, and then I met these amazingly encouraging, lecturers and people who just encouraged me and said, oh, when you finish one course, have you thought about doing your honours? Have you thought about doing your masters? And I would never have thought about doing those things ever. And then because they believed in me or sensed that I could do this, that I actually took my belief in me from them. And I thought, you know what, if they think I can do this, then maybe I actually can do this. And so I'll give it a go. And in my book, I talk about taking a leap of faith as being so important to get ahead. And so, sometimes you take a really deep breath and go like, I don't really know if I can do this, but they seem to think that I can. And I really respect and trust their opinion. So I'm going to take that leap of faith. I'm going to step out of my comfort zone and give it a go. And every time I did that, I was amazed that I could actually achieve what they were telling me I could achieve.
Yeah. Often other people see more in us than we see in ourselves. Like I remember when starting out my business, I was just like, getting out there, and they go, of course you're going to be successful. All of these other things that you do well and you succeed at. Why wouldn't you? Like, this is just your personality. They could see that, but it's scary for the self, to really back yourself. Yeah. So this is where you talk about, knowing how to find a person that's going to achieve your goals. So how do we go about doing that in life? Like I know sometimes when the student's ready, the teacher shows up. I'm a very big believer in that. But how can someone more actively look out for those that can help them achieve their goals?
Okay, yeah, like I totally agree with you. Sometimes when you're ready, that people will just appear, But the way to find someone is to have an idea of obviously what your goal is, and then to start to do some searching, maybe on the internet, or looking for a life. I find mentors, coaches, life coaches, people that can actually help you to get the journey started for yourself, and then they will point you in the right direction. And they may be the starting point, and then you might then go on to other people, other mentors, other coaches, because you're growing and developing all the time, and you might outgrow that particular coach, Right. But I have found having a mentor or a coach essential, really. In my career, I worked in government for like 23 years, and I had mentors who really supported and encouraged and nurtured and helped me to move up the ladder into those senior executive positions and roles. And look, to be honest, I don't think there's very few people who can just do that without having that sort of mentorship along their
Agree.
journey. Yeah, so that's really the way to do it, I think. And that's part of what I've picked up then is in my what I'm doing now is picking up that supporting and life coaching of others as well.
Yeah, so that's what you do. I mean, you know, you've got such a wealth of experience and wisdom that I think and life experience that you can see where people might not be on the right path, or just ask them the right questions and help them discover, you know, what, you know, kind of they feel lost in, or where they feel stuck, right?
Yeah. So help them to find what it is for themselves, you know, that they want for themselves. So it's the role is one of a facilitator, really. You're not telling people what they
Yeah.
need to do, but you're helping to facilitate them to find that for themselves and then to support them on that journey.
And I think having a coach or a mentor, not just to ask you the right questions, I think it puts a rocket up your bum to take action.
It does now, you know, you really, and look, what's the point of having a mentor or a coach if they're not going to challenge you? I mean, they have to challenge you. They have to stretch you. They have to challenge your fundamental beliefs and well, from the point of view of helping you to question them for yourself, so that you can decide, you know, things that you firmly believe in or things that you're holding on to because they're just what you've always been brought up to believe or brought up about, even if it's about yourself, self-beliefs, you know. So that's a crucial part, a critical part of being a mentor or a coach, is really helping people to dig deep and to challenge themselves.
And not the role of a coach and a mentor is also not to buy into other people's beliefs or excuses or limitations that they see for themselves. I mean, the reason I have a personal trainer is not because I don't know how to exercise or do all of those things. I have it because she'll always push me, you know, that 20% harder than I would ever push myself, you know, when I'm doing it on my own. And I think that's the same thing in any area you're trying to achieve anything. I know throughout, you know, the time, 11 years, I've been investing in mentors and coaches and all that sort of stuff. I know the periods I have mentors and coaches, there's significant, huge growths and shifts in beliefs and all that sort of stuff. And then periods when I don't, you know, I kind of go into a more of a comfort zone. And sometimes we need those rest periods before we grow again. You know, that's normal, right?
Definitely. And that's what I always say to, you know, other people I've worked with, you know, it's wonderful, you know, set a goal, work so hard to achieve that goal. But when you get to achieve that goal, then you have a rest and you celebrate that goal and you have a rest. And while you're having a rest, you're sort of starting to think about what next, you know? So
because we never stop, do we? It is not going to be, this is the final goal. That's it. I'm done.
No. And so my belief is that we never stop learning, and we can never stop challenging ourselves, and we can never stop making life exciting because of that. So you set new goals, and it's a bit like me with retiring from full-time paid work. It's like, okay, now I've set myself some goals about what I want to do now, which is really the public event speaking and the coaching and helping others to really achieve their goals, because that's really very fulfilling for me, you know, to see people, particularly women and girls, get ahead.
Yeah. Well, now it's about Dr. Ann, the entrepreneur.
Yes.
And, you know, just because that was full-time paid work, that doesn't mean this new and can have like more than full-time paid work, like, you know, through, you know, it can be very lucrative when you are speaking and you are helping other people, you know, and you're building something for yourself, you know, like and it's very rewarding because everything is in your own hands.
Yeah, exactly. It is really rewarding. And, you know, just earlier this year, because I live in Mackay, which is near the coal mining communities, you know, one of the coal mining companies invited me to their International Women's Day event in that little mining community.
Yep.
And you know, they said, we would like to pay you as an event speaker, and we would like to buy 80 of your books. So they bought 80 books, and they handed out like gift packs to everyone who attended. And it was filled with other nice bits and pieces as well. But everyone got a free copy of my book, and they paid me to speak. And I thought, wow, isn't this amazing? Like a whole new way of, you know, doing something I love and, you know, getting paid for it. It's lovely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. And it wasn't a free copy of your book because they bought it off you. It's
Well,
just
that's true.
the participants that got their goodie bag, which is awesome. So
That's true.
let's talk about resilience. You know, you say never give up until you succeed. You know, we of course, on a journey to achieving a goal, there's going to be mess, right? Mess.
Yeah.
Like they say, it's not a straight line, it's this squiggle that gets you there. So what are the things, like what are maybe 2 or 3 things that you always tap back into for yourself in moments of going, oh, maybe I was never meant to achieve this goal? You know, when you get down about yourself, what are some of the things you tell your clients or that you do for yourself in your mind?
Well, I think exactly what you said, that this journey is like, I think of it as like waves. You know, you're in highs and lows, highs and lows. It's like waves, and that's normal. So I help people understand this is a normal part of the process and normalize it for them. And when they're feeling like that, that's when they need that additional support, and help them to say, okay, so what's the one next thing you need to do? Just focus on the one next thing. Don't focus on the whole end process to the very end. Just focus on what's the next thing, and then that's the time when your support person, your mentor, is critical to help you take that next step. And I often ask people to visualize themselves at the end. You know, so imagine when you're actually there and you're holding your book in your hand, or imagine when you finish that course and you're graduating, or imagine when you've got that job, your dream job. Visualize it and put yourself there and say, so isn't that working for? And to help to remotivate them and re-energize them again, and help them to believe in themselves that they can do it. Because it's at those times when they think, oh, this is too hard, I can't do this. And you're like, no, you can do it. And you're like, you know, a third of the way through, you're halfway through already, or help them to see how far they've come. And then they go, oh, that's true, I have. Yeah. So it's that encouragement and support. Yeah,
I love that. I love just think on the next thing, because a lot of us can get ahead of ourselves. And in writing books, which is this journey that you and I have been on, and I've got here Wanda, who's on. She said, good morning, Dr. Anne, thank you for sharing insightful information, setting goals. Well, Wanda's coming to her this next retreat in November, and that's the one thing I say to my authors who are just starting out: just do the next sort of breadcrumb we lay in front of you. Just pick that up and just do those tasks. You don't need to look at the whole journey, because the journey has a lot of detail, and that's all you need to focus on. That's why you have hired us as your coaches and mentors, is to give you the smaller chunks on this big elephant that is writing your book, so you take them one at a time. I think that's the best thing to pull yourself out. I know when I get into overwhelm, or what's going to happen, or think 12 months ahead of time, or I'm setting a whole annual calendar, I kind of go, oh my gosh, too much. And then I go, just today, whatever the next thing is, right now we're doing the live with Anne. And then the next thing is, so that's, I think, very, very good. It's just, we need to remind ourselves to do that, right?
Oh, definitely. And, when I was doing my doctorate, my PhD, I had a whiteboard in front of my desk, and on the whiteboard I had, how do you eat an elephant? Like one bite at a time. And that, is a bit of a motto for me. It's just like, don't get ahead of yourself. Just one day at a time, one step at a time. And because otherwise it's it can be overwhelming, and then you do nothing because it's too overwhelming. So so important.
What is it, analysis paralysis?
Yes, that's it.
You don't do anything at all. I love consistency. I'll say, if there was a big goal or something that I want to create or whatever, I'll go, okay, half an hour on this every day. But as long as I'm consistent, at the end of like 2 weeks, I will have done such a significant amount of work. I always have found, like, as long as I'm consistent, if I want to achieve something, I'll don't have to, put my life on hold for it. This is what I say about writing a book. I often say to my authors, 2 hours twice a week, but as long as you do them consistently, not 2 hours twice a week this week and then in 4 weeks time again, that's not going to get you there. So I love that. So how did you approach your journey of writing a book? Tell me a little bit about it, because you ended up being virtual, and you were one of, I remember, quieter students, just chipping away at stuff in the background, listening but doing, like you say, do more, be more. Tell me a little bit about the process and the journey you underwent when you did your book.
I felt like I was a little bit of a sponge, Nat. I was really listening to everything you were saying and taking notes and taking it in, and listening to the questions of other students and asking when I wanted to, but I really just valued just everything all the information you were sharing with us. The thing for me with the process of the book writing that just made me, there were actually two things that made me think, oh, I can do this, probably in a very overly confident way when I think back on it now. But going to your half-day workshop and you explaining the process to us about how you in 48 hours, how you can actually write a book or get it out of you at least, And at the very end of that workshop, I thought, oh, I can see this. I can see this is actually really achievable. Like I could, you really, really convinced me this is so achievable. I can do this. So that's what led me then to sign up with you. And then in working with Stuart and yourself, and breaking it down to, and having written, done study and written so many thousand-word assignments, when Stuart said, look, you're really looking at about 3,000 words a chapter. And I thought, 3,000 words a chapter, that's like one assignment. Like 3,000, a chapter is like an assignment. That's how I related to it. Yeah, from my study that I'd done. And I thought, oh, that is so achievable. I can do that, So I think it's about finding a way that breaks it down that you go, yeah, I can do that. So I totally agree with you. I think consistency, 2 hours, like you're recommending 2 hours a week, twice a week. Yeah, I think just consistency, break it down. And I think your process, your whole process is so helpful to students. Thinking about even like sexy book chapter titles and Lindy and Vivi and Julie and all the staff, was so helpful. Nothing was ever too much trouble, no matter who I contacted with a question. Was always responded to really quickly. I really felt that I got great service and therefore great value for the money that I'd outlaid in this process. And even all the follow-up and lifelong access to masterclasses and it's just amazing. Yeah, I found that really helpful. And I have recommended, and I've recommended to friends and colleagues some of them who actually have finished their books.
Dr. Amanda was from you, wasn't she?
Dr. Amanda, yeah. And I've got another friend who's really keen as well. So I have no hesitation in recommending that they get in touch with you and go to the half-day workshop and look into it for themselves. And because I found it to be such a great process.
Yeah, and we've loved obviously helping you. And, I always say, the students who follow the recipe and the work, they'll get the results. And I'm so delighted to get an update on what you've been doing in the speaking gigs and all that sort of stuff. And thank you. There's been a couple of comments from Luba and Kim. Luba, I need to interview you. You better apply to, because she's also writing her second book, and Kim's doing her second book as well, which I'm going to interview her, and so is there actually another book on the horizon at some point?
Well, I would love to write another book, and I've really been thinking about it, and I've been kind of working through in my mind what I would write about,
Well, can I give you an idea? Like everything we've spoken about today, what you've, because your first book is your autobiographical book, right?
Yeah.
And the second book ideally should be your framework of how you help people through your coaching, because of course you've got your own way of how you would encourage people to set goals and achieve them, and the mindset and the resilience behind that. So perhaps it needs to be that particular framework, because you're looking at helping people further through your coaching. So it's more like the how-to aspect behind the backstory, which was your first book.
Yeah, and I speak about this because I just know it, and sometimes it's kind of like the bleeding obvious that you don't even see that you could write about, So yeah, you're right. I could write about that, and I would love to write another book because I thoroughly enjoyed the whole process. I really did.
Yeah. I think it's just a natural next thing. I know a lot of people who first start off with me writing their life story, like Julie Fisher, who wrote about her son with Down syndrome, which was really the autobiographical story. And then now she's written The Magic of Inclusion, which is more of a framework around inclusion with people with disability and all that sort of stuff, which is more so that how to. And you would have seen her, I don't know if you saw, but she was on the Channel 9 News last night about, and she was there with her books and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, absolutely. Well, where can people, let me show the book one more time on my screen here.
On your screen, yeah.
You guys. So this is Dr. Ann's book, I Ruined My Life. Or so they said, it's not what others think you are. And she's got a really easy to remember website. It's drannbutcher.com, right?
Yep, so easy.
Yep. Super easy. I love easy websites because you can just say them and people can just go in and Anne is spelled normal and Butcher is spelled normal as well. Yeah. So drannbutcher.com, and of course it is also available on all your good online stores like Amazon and all. Just look her up and you'll find it. But
and it's on my Facebook page too, Nat. It's on my Dr. Ann Butcher Facebook page as well. Yeah.
Look at her all organized. Well, this week is actually our Speak for Profit masterclass, and that's one, it's good probably to revisit if you've got some time. We've got another special guest speaker that's coming to talk, Sam Cawthorn, which is, just someone different to bring and share some value with our audience. So everyone's saying thank you so much. Writing books about the bleeding obvious, Kim is just saying there. And I just there's a few comments, so go off and reply to some of the people there. Thank you so much for giving up your time today. Good luck with all the future endeavors, and I hope to see you speaking on lots of other stages and maybe even traveling the world once we can.
I would love to. Look, thank you so much, Nat, for giving me the opportunity to come on and just talk to you about, my book and my story and what I'm doing. And I just really appreciate it. And I, just really recommend Ultimate 48-Hour Author to anyone who's, thinking about writing a book. I'd just say do it. It's been a wonderful process. Thank you.
Thank you. And guys, go and take some of the tips from today and put them into action. If you haven't taken time to set some life goals of late, maybe do an audit on your life this week and just set some new intentions because that's what gives us purpose and keeps us going throughout life. So have an amazing week and smash it out. Bye, guys.